The rules of thumb for buying healthy foods is simple. Look for fewer ingredients and for natural ingredients. But when it comes to supplements, those natural ingredients are a lot more difficult to spot, and especially if you're looking for a blend of ingredients, it's often more deciphering than deciding. And so I'm putting this video out to highlight the green and red flags to look out for in electrolyte blends so that you can feel more confident that what you're consuming is having the effect that you want. Welcome back to the channel. After finding out a lot more around what electrolytes do in my previous video, I wanted to put this together fairly quickly to analyze whether the electrolytes I currently use are having the desired effect or not. Now, before I start evaluating which electrolyte blend is going to be the best for me, I'm first going to split my search into two. I'm going to need one blend for everyday use to have in the morning and another to have post-endurance or sweat-heavy workouts. Now, this is a key differentiation to make because the quantities of electrolytes I'm going to need in each scenario are going to be different. For everyday use, I'm going to be needing 200 to 400 milligrams of sodium and 150 to 250 milligrams of potassium. And then for my endurance workout, I'll want to get 500 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium and around 200 to 400 grams of potassium. And if you want to find out why, I'm going to link my video on electrolytes below where it goes into all that. Now, when I was looking at the ingredients of the electrolytes I currently use, firstly, I was blown away by how many ingredients there were, and secondly, by how little sense they made. But it turns out the biggest differentiator between high and low quality ingredients is the form the mineral is in. You're going to want to choose minerals in forms like citrate, chloride, and gluconate, as these are much more easily absorbed and a lot gentler on the digestive system. Oxide and carbonate forms are generally cheaper to produce and, alongside potentially causing some gastrointestinal distress, might not even be fully absorbed. For example, magnesium citrate supports muscle relaxation and energy production, but magnesium oxide may pass through the gut completely unabsorbed. There are some bonus ingredients to look out for that will bring you additional benefit above and beyond these big 5 electrolytes, and being that these are fairly common, there's a good chance that they appear in the ingredients list of the brand that you choose. The first is zinc, which is going to help with immune function and wound healing, and zinc is added to a whole range of different supplements, so no surprise that it turns up in electrolyte blends as well. Green tea extract is seen quite commonly as well as a great source of antioxidants that also provides some mental clarity. And then buffer salts are another key addition that will help to neutralize stomach acid and reduce the level of GI distress. The most common form that they turn up in is sodium bicarbonate. Now, off the back of what we've just learned, carbonate forms are to be avoided, but sodium bicarbonate is different. Because acid buildup can impair muscle function, it can cause nausea or bloating, or it can even impair neurotransmission. And so when you're looking on that list of ingredients, you have to look for a sodium chloride or citrate and a sodium bicarbonate. So when it comes to what to avoid, we've already covered that ingredient forms such as oxide and carbonate are generally a lot cheaper to prepare and can cause GI distress if they're absorbed at all. What we also want to avoid is certain types of sugar. And we already know that glucose can be a fantastic way to supercharge your hydration post-workout, but not all forms are created equal. If you're looking for an electrolyte blend during or post a sweat-heavy workout, look for dextrose and glucose as those better, more bioavailable forms. And avoid sucralose and fructose as these can ferment in the gut and even cause a laxative effect during your workout. And if you're looking for an everyday blend, opt for natural sweeteners for much the same reason, like coconut water powder, monk fruit, or stevia. Another big red flag is one that runs true for pretty much all supplements, is that we want to avoid any labels that say proprietary blend used, as this is going to mask the natural ingredients so we have no idea what we're consuming nor how much. The easiest way around this is to look for third-party testing labels, and in the UK, that's going to be these 3 here. What this label provides is assurance as to the safety, transparency, and quality, which is especially important if you're using them as part of a training block. So I currently use Zero electrolytes. They're cheap, they taste pretty good, and they come in a variety of flavors. And when I got these reviewed, there are a whole host of green flags that were raised, but a couple of red ones based on some of the ingredients used. Looking at the electrolytes themselves, Zero uses quality forms of sodium and potassium, as well as 2 different types of sodium. Big tick. The red flags were around the sweetness they used, and despite having natural sweeteners in there, they also use maltodextrin and sucralose, which were raised as potential triggers for GI discomfort. There was another concern raised about the forms of calcium and magnesium used. Both being in carbonate forms, there was a question around the absorption of these minerals due to carbonate's low bioavailability. Overall, this is not a bad option. There are definitely more optimal blends out there, but for the price tag, it's a pretty good option for endurance training due to its high sugar content, especially if you supplement with magnesium in forms like glycinate or citrate. But for an everyday blend, it's not ideal. So now I'm in the market for an alternative, and for an everyday blend, I came across Nordcode Performance Electrolytes. All mineral forms are bioavailable, which is a big tick, using natural ingredients such as sea salt. The dosages are quite high, with 1 serving giving me 1,000 milligrams of sodium and 400 milligrams of potassium, but if I half that serving, that brings those quantities down to a much more manageable level for everyday use, and there's a whole bunch of different flavors, and they're very reasonably priced too. There is a product they advertise for everyday use, but it's a little bit low on the sodium side, so I'm going to stick with this performance blend and just half the dosage when I have them in the morning. The best thing about this option is that one full scoop is perfect to use post-endurance or sweat-heavy workouts, so I'm ticking 2 boxes there. So in the spirit of keeping things simple, that is definitely the way I'm going to lean, so as not to overcomplicate my electrolyte purchasing. When it comes to the price tag, the short answer is yes, money does buy quality. As with everything, there's going to be the premium appeal of certain brands due to name or packaging, but there are 2 main reasons why money does buy quality. The first is the cost of the ingredients. Pharmaceutical-grade minerals and natural ingredients do cost more than their synthetic alternatives. The second is the testing. While GMP is standard across all manufactured goods to maintain acceptable manufacturing processes and hygiene levels, ISO or organic certifications do cost more. So you can cheap out on these, which I'll admit I've done up until now. But after putting that last video together and understanding a lot more around electrolyte imbalances, price tag is going to be something I'm looking at a lot less from now on. So there we have it. Wanted to keep this video a little bit shorter so as not to overcomplicate everything. My order's already out for Nordcode, so I'm going to see whether the right ingredients do actually make a difference. The main takeaway from me is to have 2 different blends of electrolytes, one for everyday use and one for post-endurance or sweat-heavy workouts. I may hop back on to provide an update in a few weeks, but for now, at least I hope you've got that differentiation between green and red flags so you can make sure that the electrolytes you use are actually having the effect that you want. I'll catch you next time.